Right. Kwabna, no, let me pick the thoughts of Gary. Gary, Kwabna did mention that you look at this Ferrari team, and part of Lewis's problems you could put down to that team around him, and there are times you would wish he had Bono in his corner. Um, if Lewis Hamilton would have to get back to his best, something has to give with regards to who manages him or who is around him or who gives him instructions, the race engineers and all. Something has to change in that team. Would you agree with that?
I would strongly agree with that. And there was a noticeable shift when Lewis joined Ferrari. And we all heard the comments on, I think it was Sky, F1, where they said Lewis had gone around saying to some of the Ferrari engineers and the structures that, no, this isn't how we did it at Mercedes. This is how Mercedes did it. This is how I want it. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be critical of Lewis, but that is just the kind of thing you don't do to a proud team like Ferrari, right? It's like saying to your wife, oh, this is how my ex did it. You are asking for trouble when you do things like that. Now, this is anecdotal. I don't have any hard evidence of this other than some of the news clippings that I saw from Sky. But if you've done, and I've worked with Italians, I work in IT, and I've worked on international projects with Italians, Japanese, and whatnot, and I know the Italian culture. Okay, wrong move. I say that to say this. It seemed like after the first few races, something broke down within Ferrari. The technical support, even if you listen to some of the Adami messages with Hamilton in the early races, Lewis will say something like, "I don't need that information." I think he may have underestimated the human side of trying to gel with his engineers, the team, getting people on his side, the advice, the guidance, all of this kind of stuff. One of the funny things that I've noticed with the Ferrari is they've actually designed the car so that during races, they actually have to lift off as part of trying to preserve the plank underneath the car. It's at the point where the car hits top speed, and this became hugely apparent in Hungary, of all places. And Leclerc seems to have mastered this, and this is where the history with Leclerc being a Ferrari is helping him. It turns out that these were some of the adjustments the drivers needed to make the car work. So they've optimized the car because of the deficiencies that they have, so that the suspension is lower. But if you keep your foot in all the way to the very top speed, you will wear the plank out and you will fall foul of the FIA inspection. So the car itself needs to be driven a little bit differently. It's completely alien to Lewis. Clearly, he's trying to make the best of it, but being on the outside looking in, obviously he struggled. But we've spoken about that. I think going back to the question of advice, and I made a video about this on a YouTube channel I have called F1, and I suggested that Lewis needs perhaps a Bono type person, but he needs someone like Rosberg. And I've made this argument because Rosberg was probably the only driver that I will say Lewis actually, if I can use the word, feared. Rosberg wasn't as talented as Lewis, but he was mentally more, I will say, capable than Lewis. Technical understanding of the car, its quirks, its limitations, setting the car up to get the maximum out of the car. And Rosberg's strengths has always been tactics and strategy. And he's brilliant at coming up with schemes to run for Lewis. And he did that to win his 2016 world title. And I've made the case that Lewis needs somebody that can shut him up. So when he starts moping, when he starts going all, and it affects the fans when he does that. A lot of the talk about Lewis is purely how he appears on camera. If Lewis was able to just G himself up, turn up and say, look, it's body of the office, but here's what we're going to do, and he's optimistic, he's upbeat, the reporting, I guarantee you, will be quite different. It's the demeanor thing. Whether it's a case of, not having enough media training, I don't know. Somebody being able to make him snap out of it. And you can argue that's his personality. He's who he is, just everyone's different and all that. But no, when you are this much of an icon and so many people are looking up to you, it gets to the point where you shouldn't be reliant on the fans to lift you up. You should be lifting the fans up. You should be giving them something to cheer for. And I think maybe Lewis has forgotten about all of that. Anyway, bottom line is, I think he needs somebody to put him straight. I don't see anybody around Lewis now that is able to say to him, that's BS. Clearly, this is the right way to go. I don't see anybody. Given the way he communicates with his engineers, the team around him, he doesn't need any more friends. He needs good technical guidance, good strategy, good tactics. Every lap Lewis attends, he should be thinking, this lap is my 8th world title. This is 2021 all over again. He has to attack in that way. Otherwise, you are looking for, it's like a bird in hand versus two in the bush. He's thinking long-term, strategic, the car isn't good, so why should I really fight for it? Sometimes he does that. It's when he gets a sniff of a win or a sniff of a good position or ability to overtake, like we saw in the rain at Belgium, that's when the old Lewis comes back. He just needs to, for him, it's half a psychological problem.